back in your life like a schizophrenic man with multiple personalities who finds himself a love who hasn't been boned the way she has since grade school. This is the Real Ignorance Podcast. We are back once again. I am your host, Joe Winkel. We are live. Well, not technically live. We are recording late on a Friday evening here on the 450 Podcast Network, presented by our lovely sponsors, Ryan Allison Tattoo and Durham Remodeling. We thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Real Ignorance. It is our first official Wayback Machine review. We don't have a technical name for how we're going to differentiate from the new movies versus the old movies, but we're here regardless. And we have a doozy for you. I am joined, as always, by the man without a face. It is Blake Ringer.
Yo, yo,
How you doing?
yo, another day, another dollar.
What's going on, buddy? How are you on this lovely day?
I am a new man after watching this movie finally. It's been on my list for like 3 years, and I just never was like, I'll just put it off. I want to watch this. I'll put it off. I want to watch this. But boy, oh boy, I've been missing out for the last couple of years, huh?
You have been missing out, and we are now here. We have now reached the summit. There we are reviewing Fight Club. There's a lot to get through. I just want to start. So we came up with the idea for this show when literally 2 weeks ago, almost, not to the day, but around this time 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it actually was, because we saw How to Make a Killing 2 weeks ago tonight, I believe, or was it last week? I can't remember.
No, it was 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago, yeah. And I said, "Hey, what about doing a podcast about movies?" And you were down. We talked about it in the parking lot of the movie theater we were at, and now we are fully sunk in. I think this is if the first episode was an initiation, this is a trial by fire, and we are here, and we are about to burn down some very important buildings in our local union.
Yeah, a lot of buildings were burned.
Let's grab your nitroglycerin. And let's start some mayhem. So we are, like I said, we're doing Fight Club. I gave Blake 3 movies. I gave him Heat. I gave him, what was the second one? I gave you Heat and Fight Club and The Town. I knew you watched The Town. I knew the other two you had. I did not know you did not watch Fight Club yet. You have not seen Heat. That is one we probably will do sooner than later. Maybe once they officially drop a trailer for the sequel, which is coming out sometime in the next year or two. We are doing Fight Club. We are here. Blake, I need to know who you all told about this, because it seems like, we had some people tuning in, people saying they liked it. And I feel from the response that you've given me about you watching the movie throughout this week, you have talked to people about this show and about your experience watching Fight Club. So I want to know your experience of telling people, you living through this world that we're in now.
Well, it's been a while, because I tell everybody that I call myself a movie enthusiast, and I watch a lot of movies in my free time when I have free time. So I was like, you know what? Like this year, I picked out, like, I looked at the list of movies coming out this year. I was like, all right, these are the 37 I'm going to go see in theater this year. And then a couple of buddies from work were like, dude, you haven't watched, like, what about, like, we were talking about classic movies, and they're like, what about Fight Club? It's like, well, I've actually never seen. They're like, dude, you can't say you're a movie enthusiast without seeing Fight Club. And for years, I've been like, yeah, I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. So finally, these guys got my reaction after watching it, because on Wednesday night, I came in Thursday to work, and I was like, all right, guys, well, I got an hour and a half in, and there was 20 minutes left, but it was like 12:50 in the morning. So I was like, I'm going to go to bed. They're like, no, you can't stop. You have to go back and rewind it. You missed the good part. And I was like, this shit better be fucking good if you guys are hyping it up this much. And God, by golly, it was. My jaw was on the floor. Fucking, I did not expect that to happen. But man, let me tell you, they were like, yeah, man, we told you that's fucking crazy. And I was like, yeah, no, it really was. I literally said, if you told me to make a list of 100 endings for the show, the ending would not have made my top 100 and the probabilities of things happening.
And here you are now, just a new man.
I feel rejuvenated.
So the first time I remember seeing this movie, I remember being floored. I did not have any idea what this was. I knew what the movie was. I saw this about 5 years ago, living with you, actually, in my little room. I watched it and I was just encapsulated. And it's the perfect movie that like rewatching it. This is probably the fifth or sixth time I've watched it, and it's a movie that when you do rewatch it, you watch it in different ways, which we'll obviously talk about. And this is a movie that's 27 years old, people, so we're obviously going to spoil the shit out of it. But however, the throughout this movie, there are different parts where like you can just jump into, especially if or obviously if you've seen it before and you're hooked. And this movie, once you get like a fifth of the way through from there on out, is just pure chaos. I wouldn't say it starts slow, but you have to jump on the roller coaster. You have to understand that you're in for a ride, and once the ride gets going, uh it is it is an acid trip, and we get to a conclusion of pure bliss.
Very
uh,
much so.
um want to we're going to obviously talk about how we thought about certain things. We're going to go through all of our categories. We added a few, nothing too crazy. Maybe there are some things that we can add to this, uh add to the categories. Let's see here. Um we're going to, that we can add to categories wise eventually, maybe that can spawn from this movie, and I think that's how the show is going to feast. But I want to kind of start with so this movie was made in 1999 by David Fincher, and something that I don't know, I guess I didn't totally get your what your thought on this was, but over my time of incorporating more film into my life, I say that so I feel so pedantic when I say that, look at me in my film. Um, but when I watch more and more movies, I really get enthralled by the directors and like going on the journey of like what they've made. This was directed by David Fincher, and he is incredible. He's made a couple TV shows, but he's made some incredible movies. And I kind of wanted to start there, Blake. What's your take on like obviously we are tied, our friendship not is solely tied to certain movie genres and movie studios, but we have bonded a lot because of certain films, obviously Marvel and superhero movies and things like that. But do, how much do you look into directors more than like obviously with the superheroes you're looking at Marvel or DC Studios, stuff like that? I feel like watching movies like this, it is different because you are watching stuff that isn't like run together. So picking out certain directors and kind of going over their catalog, which is what we're going to do here with Fincher. How do you Are you intrigued by that type of stuff at all? If that makes sense, does
So
my question
so
make sense?
like for example, I'm not like, oh, I'm not gonna go see that movie because it's not Christopher Nolan
Right.
or any of that. But I will watch movies because of them, if that makes sense. Like if I'm like, oh, Christopher Nolan's in
Agreed.
that, I'm gonna go see that.
Agreed.
But I'm
Because
also not the type of
yes,
person that I'm not gonna give a movie a chance just because it's not a certain someone. Like, of course, I'll be like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, I always look at director, I look at writer, I look at like choreographer if it's like an action film. I look at all these things because I like to, because I know like when I can recognize a choreographer from certain movies. So I'll be like, okay, I like that guy, cool, and he's great at choreography. But with films, most of the time, I just what interests me per se.
that
Like if the plot, if the trailer, if the trailer looks bad, a lot of times I'm turned off from the movie. It is how it is.
and I feel like that's most people. They see a trailer. It's like, people. I feel like how we talk about how the TikTokification of the world now, where people
Mhm.
get hooked on certain stuff and it makes you go to other things. I feel like a very small version of that is in the ev- our entire lives in the last 30 years of seeing film trailers, movie trailers, and being like, well, shit, I want to actually go see this now. It's a different version of that
Very much so.
completely.
Oh yeah, very much so.
But so directors for me, I agree. You mentioned Christopher Nolan. I went to see Oppenheimer because Christopher Nolan directed it. I'm not going to only see Odyssey because Christopher Nolan is directing it, but
Helps.
it's a yes,
It
yes, it's a
helps.
huge reason. So for Fincher, he really got going in the mid 90s. One of his biggest first movies was Seven. Have you seen Seven?
No, no.
Seven is another one that could very well be on this list. It also has Brad Pitt. We're gonna trust me, folks. We're gonna get into Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt and Ed Norton are the stars of this movie. They are the two main characters in this film, Fight Club. Fight Club comes out in '99. Uh, the Game is in 1997. That's another one that he does. Um, you go through the years here. Directed, or one of his, or excuse me, I shouldn't even say Seven was his first big movie because he directed Indiana Joe, or he was a part of the Indiana Jones franchise in a way. He also directed, he directed Alien 3 in the early 90s. But Fight Club in 99 with 7 in 95. Those are two of his really biggest original hits. Some other ones as you get into the 2000s. Zodiac is a movie that I really adore. The Social Network in 2010 is a David Fincher movie. I don't know. Are those two that you have seen?
I've seen of his. I've seen The Social Network, Curious
Social
Case of
Network is
Benjamin and
fantastic.
Benjamin Button,
Benjamin Button. He did Benjamin Button. That was in 2008, I believe.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, and The Killer. I've all seen.
Gone Girl is one that I still have yet to see.
Good.
Um, Social Network is a movie that is right up my alley. I am a whore for dialogue films, and the
That's a
Social
dialogue
Network
film.
is right up my alley.
Yeah.
Yes, shout out to Lex Luthor, if you know what I mean. Uh, so he also did a very good show on Netflix called Mindhunter. That's really popular. So Fincher has obviously been around for a long time. He is somebody that I just adore when it comes to like his work. Um, I think when you look at certain directors, uh, he, I love guys that go and make these types of movies that have different meanings, different types of. You can tell his style too. Like there's a certain way that certain things that you catch on if you see enough movies is how directors uh their style of of cinematography basically in a way, or how the film is shot, or the scenery especially, like you go through a lot of these movies and some of them are kind of dark and grimy, like Gone Girl is a movie like that. This movie, obviously, Seven is another one that's dark and grimy, in a sense. So there's just a style of his that I like, and this is a movie that was a massive risk, and we'll talk kind of the history of this movie and why it wasn't even a movie that jumped off initially, and it took a while to get going. But what are your thoughts on Fincher and his style of filmmaking?
It's definitely a style that I think a lot of people like. You gotta think they're all not every single one. Obviously, like The Social Network isn't like super dark, but I mean, The Killer, that's a darker tone movie. Um, Gone Girl's a darker tone movie. Fight Club's a darker. Like the tone is dark, and I think he really succeeds at the darker tone movies. And like any time that I will see like a David Fincher next to a dark tone movie, I'll be there.
I agree. I agree 100%. Now, looking at the cast, obviously mentioned Ed Norton and Brad Pitt. We're going to get to Brad Pitt in a second because I really feel like this is the around when he really takes off for his movie making or his acting career. Ed Norton, he's in some good movies in his, or this is one of the early movies he makes. He's in Primal Fear, which is a movie that I've had that maybe is one that can end up on our desk here sooner or later. That is a very good movie. He is in American History X. He is in Rounders. These are all in the these are all in the late '90s. Then Fight Club in '99. Right after this, he is in Red Dragon, 25th Hour, Keeping the Faith, The Score, Death to Society. Those are all in the early 2000s. He obviously gets the first, or he's in the Incredible Hulk, which he was only the Hulk for one movie. Everybody, he's got that on his ledger. And then he doesn't have many after after that where he's really the main star. He's in a bunch of stuff still. But Ed Norton, it's an interesting tale on for him, just thinking of like him as a main character in some of these movies. I feel like more and more he's better. He he is more known for his maybe supporting roles as kind of like the Robin to someone's Batman, which he is. You look in a lot of these movies, like in Rounders, it's Matt Damon, who is the really the big hit in that film. In Primal Fear, Richard Gere is the main guy. Him and Norton are kind of the co-steeds there. This is him and Brad Pitt. Uh, that are the top dogs in Red Dragon. It's him and Anthony Hopkins. So there's a lot of in the score. It's him and De Niro. So there's a lot of these movies where he is not a second banana, but he is more of like the co-star impact, like side by side with a guy than a certain driving force, which Brad Pitt is. So maybe Norton is kind of an underrated cog in movie making history because a lot of his stuff is more
hidden by others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's really good in all of these roles, but he's not the super duper star.
And then the one he's like super known for, the movie freaking sucks, in Hulk. So
the Hulk is an interesting movie. The Incredible Hulk definitely was made. Let's just say that
it was.
It's a place in time.
Brad, I mean, I think that's the thing is, I think he is a good actor, and like every time he's like quote unquote the supporting actor in a movie, like I think he's great. He was in the most recent one that I saw him in was The Glass Onion from the Knives Out series, and I thought he was great in that.
Yeah, like the fact that he's still cooking, and obviously Pitt's still cooking too, which we're going to talk about. Brad Pitt, the multi-layered life of him.
Yeah.
But for Norton too, like the fact that he's still cranking stuff out, and he is still relevant in a way. He's just not the main ticket in really anything. That is, at least of now. That's the biggest difference between him and Pitt. That I kind of come across. Don't you agree?
Yes, I agree.
We get to Brad Pitt, who, I mean, this is really a launch point for him. He's just kind of around in some movies in the late 80s, early 90s, but you get into the late 90s here for him, and that's when his run really takes off. In 95, he's in Seven with Morgan Freeman, which is again a movie I think we're gonna eventually do. I love that movie. He's in 12 Monkeys. He's in Sleepers. He's in The Devil's Zone with Harrison Ford. 7 Years in Tibet. Meet Joe Black. Then Fight Club in 99, and then he really starts to take off. He's in He's in Spy Game. He's in Ocean's 11. He's in Troy. Ocean's 12. Then we get the Brangelina,
yeah,
Brangelina segment of his life with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He's in Babel. Babel, excuse me. He's in The Assassination of Jesse James. Burn After Reading. He's in Benjamin Button in 08. Inglorious Bastards, which is a big, I mean, these are movies where he is just the guy. Inglorious Bastards. Moneyball.
Yeah, dude, he's just killer.
World War Z, Fury. Keep scrolling here. Another movie with Angelina By the Sea. Scrolling through some more here. He Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is another movie that I feel like we're going to do eventually. Some of the movies that he's done really since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is they're there. They're not ones that I really, really love, like that I would go out and seek, like The Lost City, Babylon, Bullet Train. He's in he's in the F1 movie, which was a huge hit in 2025. Pitt is this will really for him is young Brad Pitt taking off into another stratosphere going into the 2000s.
Yeah. No, I mean, still today though, I actually have a buddy who has a friend who's a physical, like a trainer for people.
Hmm.
And he randomly asked him one day, he's like, "What's like when people come in and they ask what they want to look like? What do they say?" And he said his most common answer is Brad Pitt from Fight Club is how they want to look like aesthetically wise. And I just thought that was funny because like you got to think like Prime, like even like him and Troy. I whole that movie is dear. I love that movie. Him and Troy, like that's like what the back then what men wanted to look like is Brad Pitt. And I think it's still funny nowadays that people ask for it.
Yeah, I mean that was a look. Him in this movie is certainly a look, and he definitely rocks it. That is for sure. It's just so incredible to see that we're 3 decades. I mean, 4 decades into Brad Pitt. He's in his 60s, and he's still cranking these out. Man, what a legend! What a true legend!
Fully goaded. I mean, if you guys haven't seen F1, I know it's really only on Apple TV right now. Amazing, really kills it. Really kills it for a freaking 65-year-old actor who's been pumping out movies for years. That movie's so good.
That and he's a 60-year-old who's not playing a 60-year-old, but he's a 60-year-old who is racing F1 cars. It is pretty
Yeah.
spectacular to see. So this movie, it's so interesting when you kind of do some research on how this movie started and when it kind of took off. And the for for Fight Club, it was released kind of in some film festivals, but it also came out at a weird time in 1999. Like Columbine happened right around the time this came out. Uh, Woodstock '99 was right around this time. So there were, gatherings weren't the biggest thing in the world in this time of the of life. This movie really takes off when it goes to DVD, and it's like one of the biggest DVD sold movies over the last few decades. That is kind of the life of this movie. It's I listened to a podcast talking about how back in the day, like guys, people that were our age or maybe younger, like back when really owning DVDs and VHSs were really cool. And I kind of lived through that, in the early 2000s. I was between 7 and 10 until the I'm 30, so I was born in 95. So, but in the early to late aughts, DVDs and VHSs were still a really big thing. Getting them in your collection, putting them in a bookshelf like you see behind me. Though, granted, there's no DVDs or VHSs in that. All the ones I owned were wrestling ones, so that tells you what I was doing growing up. But there was just a thing of owning this DVD, being a part of it, and it's crazy how a movie like this took on that second life where you really don't you it's hard to get that now. If a movie doesn't kind of pop in theaters, it doesn't really take on a second life like in the streaming world. Now there's movies now that kind of go straight to streaming services that start off and they're good, obviously, like F1. I mean, it was in theaters, but an IMAX, which really helped. I think that was kind of one of the biggest ways people enjoyed it was the fact that it was a big IMAX release. But like, it's went straight to Apple TV. But still, do you find that kind of fascinating in the difference in how a movie then can kind of go through a certain struggle and release, and then all of a sudden it just kind of takes off in a different world?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that like is special about movies is like you may not know about it. Like this movie, like you may not know about it, but then you go watch and just realize, wow, man, like even back then they could just make film so interesting, so meaningful with small messages that are in it or uh plots that they have that may not, seem interesting because it's so old, but then you watch and you're like, dude, this is even relative to nowadays, even if it was made in 99, but it still is relative to the 2025s. But I think that's also one thing about movies is like in theaters, like one of Brad Pitt's things that he was saying is like he wants to keep films in movies because that's what it's meant to be. But so many people find it hard to go to the movies. So people learn from streaming services, or they learn from friends. Hey, you should watch this. Hey, you should watch this. Watch this. Watch this. So like theatrical releases, sometimes a lot of them are quote unquote busts,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just because it costs so much nowadays to make a movie, and the movie could be really good, but you don't know because you didn't go see it in theater. But you'd wait. You're like, oh, hey, I saw this movie. You should go see it. And that's how film now grows, is from other people. Funny enough, like, oh, I have seen this. You should see this. Oh, I've seen this. You should see this. And I think that's just crazy how it works. Is like it's still the same nowadays. Like back then, I'm sure like there's still obviously theater releases, but VHS, DVDs, everyone was like, yeah, come over, watch the DVD or watch the VHS.
Yep.
Now it's like, hey, let's go to the movies, watch this movie, or let's come over, watch the streaming service. It's like it's growing and making the industry bigger, but it's also the exact same as it was back in the day.
It's fascinating too because there are a lot of people who are way smarter than us. No offense. What talking about the movie industry, and they really thought in the early 2020s that the movie industry was kind of dying. The biggest releases were the superhero genre, and the superhero genre post, like the late 2020 or late 2010s had started to fall off. Like you didn't get these big type of releases, and oddly enough, I really think the Barbie Oppenheimer double release, I don't know if it like rejuvenated the movie industry, but I know we're not talking specifically about those two movies, but it is like just speaking of movies in general. That I just remember the fever pitch that weekend when you had like people going to basically do a double feature where they would go see Barbie and then they would go see Oppenheimer. You'd have people dressed up to go do it. There was a time early in this decade where it felt like the movie industry was falling apart, and I kind of to tie it to the Fight Club aspect is I just I don't know, like there were a lot of things against this movie. Like you had people who were the movie is a very the movie is very anti-establishment.
Very.
You could call it a cult film in a sense. And there were certain people that just didn't really like that aspect of it. And I think over time, the people who the more and more that it blew up over time, I think it really struck with a lot of folks.
I think people realize that this movie is more of a message than an insult per se to it just the movie is about a guy that has a serious problem. Like that's literally what it's about. Like, yeah, sure he like starts a cult and stuff, but again, he doesn't know. So I think that's like a thing that people realize, now is like, oh, I don't want to watch it because I've heard it was like a cult movie. No, yes, but it's also a message movie about, disorders that people have, problems, loneliness, and stuff like that. So I think that's also helped a lot. Like over time, people realize, give it a chance because it's not all just about being a cult and destroying things. And
Mhm. Yeah, and to tie like what I was saying with the the Barbie Oppenheimer thing, kind of bringing the movie world back, like with a movie like this with Fight Club, and again when it came out, the stuff that happened in the world in 1999 didn't help it, and it took on a different life. It's fascinating to see things get back to, I guess, normalcy in the movie world after in the early 2020s. It was a very weird time. Like it nowadays it's like we're seeing more creativity, and I think when you have it's seeing a movie like this where you see someone like David Fincher who has this crazy idea for a movie as bold and brazen as Fight Club is, to still see people have ideas like that nowadays. I think it all kind of ties together in its own world, and
yeah,
Fincher's obviously still making stuff here and there, but those are the types of things that I really like.
yeah,
I did doing some research here on this movie, just kind of talking about the aspects of it. There was this article that I found from a website called the artifice.com or the artifice.com. The article is called Fight Club. This is wrote in 2024. I don't have the author's name for the article, unfortunately, so I apologize. I just want to read a snippet out of it. It's called Fight Club: Consumerism, Anarchy, and the Search for Purpose. He says, in the context of individual entity like a human, there is nothing inherently objective when it comes to the idea of purpose. Having an awareness of this can certainly seem like a positive thing given how much individual freedom it grants a person to as opposed to something more objectively finite at birth. At the same time, though, it's important to recognize the reverse side of this revelation and how it essentially paints a portrait of anxiety that has essentially defined the whole of a society that is often overwhelmed by the burden of having too many options. So much that is essential that it is essentially excuse me, so much that it essentially makes the embrace of self-destructive nihilistic impulses more apparent and even normalized rather than confusing. He talks a lot in this about how uh in this, this movie goes through the those different aspects where a person, like, for the example, Ed Norton's character, the quote unquote narrator in this movie, he is basically looking for a search of purpose, and kind of breaking down the movie here as the bits by bits before we get into the happenings of it. And that kind of goes back to what you said, Blake, of the message in this movie. And I don't think this is, I mean, it's not something that's like life changing, but we talked about the anti-establishment, like the fight against the man type stuff that this movie really preaches. uh it is about a person searching for purpose, and in a roundabout weird way, Tyler Durden, aka the narrator, aka Ed Norton, finds purpose. It just takes a weird ride.
Oh, very weird. And I think that's like the thing is like the whole movie is about this guy battling something that he didn't know he was battling. You know, like he didn't know the whole time that he was in a battle with himself. Like he thought he was in a battle with, you know, quote unquote Tyler, when he was in a battle with Tyler, but Tyler was him. So like that's like
Mm.
I think that's what was so good. One of the good parts about the movie is that it's it's an entertaining movie. Yeah, it has crazy twists and crazy turns, but deep down, it's just literally a message. And I think
Exactly.
that's what makes it great.
So this movie, we talked about how it took a while to jump off. This movie got almost shut out in the Oscars for the Academy Awards in the 2000s, or in 2000, the 72nd Oscars. It received only one Academy Award nomination for Best Sound Effects Editing. Um, the technical there's a lot of hype around the technical achievements, the acting, obviously, but it was largely ignored by the Academy because of probably because of how controversial it was at the time. And it did kind of jump and take off at a later date than actually when it really came it at when it came out. It didn't blow up initially when it dropped. I wanted to look through here, just looking through the Oscars and certain things that were up for awards in this. Let's see here if I can pull this up. Here we go. Winners and nominees. Scrolling through here, so Best Picture was won by American Beauty, um, The Green Mile, The Insider, and The Sixth Sense. Those were all nominees. The Sixth Sense is a very good movie. Um, Best Director, American Beauty. American Beauty swept Best Picture, Best Director. Being John Malkovich, The Cider House Rules, The Insider, Sixth Sense. Those are all movies that. Uh, those are the movies that were uh, for Best Director. Best Actor, Kevin Spacey won it for Being an American Beauty. Uh, Denzel in The Hurricane was a Russell Crowe in The Insider. Russell Crowe also. Russell Crowe actually was one of the finalists, if you could say. I'm probably wording that how you would word that wrong. It came down to him and Pitt for the Tyler Durden part in this movie. Oddly enough, that's some half-assed internet research for you. So this movie got shut out at the Oscars, which makes sense in a sense. The Oscars are interesting depending on how you look at certain aspects of awards, but it's always nice to kind of go through and try to find certain things. How often do you ever pay attention to the awards and certain stuff of certain movies, or when you're doing research on stuff you like to watch?
Eh, it really depends.
It's not like
Not
you're gonna go watch
not
a movie
yeah,
because of it.
not particularly. I mean, I think the whole award thing is not quote unquote rigged. I think the wrong thing wins a lot, so that's why I don't really look into it that much because it doesn't really matter to me.
Right. I get what you're saying. So there is a so we're gonna talk about the ending, the plot twist of this movie, which is the biggest thing that anybody watching this movie kind of comes away with. It's one of the best plot twists in movie history, in my opinion. Oddly enough, there's a funny story about this. In October of '99, Rosie O'Donnell spoiled the twist ending for this movie, uh, and that was just something that was very noted. She didn't like the movie. Uh, Brad Pitt and Edward Norton were pissed about it. Uh, and it helped kind of, that's just kind of a another example of like going against the man in a sense, like this show that some people like but people don't like as well is out here, trying to go against this movie that it really did fit the anti-establishment thing, her trying to spoil the movie. um the Obviously the big plot twist is at the end, not right at the end, but kicking off the climax of the movie, is you find out that Ed Norton and Brad Pitt are the same person, and Brad Pitt, who is Tyler Durden, ends up basically being a hallucination the entire time. And when I mentioned earlier about how when you rewatch this movie, which is what I just did, you watch it in a different way, and you don't even do it on purpose. It just kind of happens accidentally. If you watch it again, Blake, you will do what I did, and you will watch it trying to pick up on the moments where you notice, oh, you can tell throughout the film that they are different people,
Well,
or that they are the same person.
so funny you brought that up. There was one thing that I did notice before knowing the ending, and in my head I was like, I wonder why, but there you can if you like you just rewatched it. There's not a scene in the movie where Tyler and Edward Norton are talking at the exact same time. Like, sure, it's back and forth, right?
But
But
they're
it's never
never
like
talking to another person together.
together ever. And I noticed that in the film. I was like, that is weird. I wonder, like, what? Like, I didn't know if like maybe it was just like, Edward Norton's character was taking the backseat to Tyler because he thought Tyler was like the main character. So like maybe that's why he's not overstepping his boundaries. But when you find out why, you're like, oh, well, that makes fucking sense.
Yes, going through it, like the things that I pick up the most are the Marla scenes, when you
Mm-hmm.
can tell like they're not in the, like, obviously that's a big one. It's just so weird. You go back and rewatch it, and and Brad Pitt's character is like, "You don't ever bring me up." So that was like his biggest rule, and it was just kind of, when you first watch it, you're like, "Oh, this is weird." Uh,
Yeah, that's. I was like, what does that matter?
exactly. And then all of a sudden, you kind of figure out why. Um, I wa- so when you get through, you're texting me your reaction. Obviously, just go through your initial feeling when you figure out the plot twist at the
So
end.
when I really figured it out was when he called in the hotel room Marla, or Marla called him, I believe.
Hmm.
But he was just like, he literally goes, Marla, have we ever had sex? And she goes, are you really asking me this question? She says, yeah, like something like not being fucked that good since high school or something. And
Uh-huh.
then she goes, yeah. And then you just see Tyler pop up in the chair in the hotel room, and he like gets scared. I was like, they're the same fucking person.
Yes. Yep. It's, they come to the moment. Uh, I look how you want to look. I fuck how you want to fuck. I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am I am everything in the ways that you are
We're
not.
not.
I am
Yep.
free. There's just so many great quotes that you can throw in from this movie, that are just fantastic. And the biggest thing, obviously, the start. are the rules of Fight Club, which we are. I mean, we're
Breaking, literally breaking.
we're literally breaking them because we're 40 minutes in and we've been talking about Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The third rule, someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out, the fight is over. Fourth rule, only two guys to a fight. Fifth rule, one fight at a time, fellas. Sixth rule, no shirts, no shoes. Seventh rule, fights will go on as long as they have to. And the eighth and final rule, if this is your first time at Fight Club, you have to fight.
You gotta fight.
Uh, I was listening to a certain podcast today about this, and they were saying, why couldn't they just be 10? Why couldn't they make it 10 rules? But hey, that's the anti-establishment. They're making it weird numbers. Um, Brad Pitt in this movie is just a quote machine. Uh, uh, with as Tyler Durden, like which we'll get into certain things, but I guess we can get into our favorite scenes. Our most rewatchable scenes. We'll go through here. The entrance of Tyler when they're on the flight, uh, where they're sitting and he has the bars of soap. Uh, all of a sudden he walks by him. A question, or when he walks by him, now a question of etiquette as I pass. Do I give you the ass or the crotch as he leaves the plane? A funny little moment when Tyler is apparently he loses a bag, and he's talking to the cop, talking about a dildo, which is
Yeah.
weird. He's like,
Yeah.
the
Oh
cop
yeah,
is
he goes 9 out of 10 times. It's just a massage gun, but there's one time it's a dildo.
and we
Classic.
obviously we obviously don't want to assume or anything. We say it's the dildo, not your
Yeah.
dildo. And then in the background you see Tyler jumping into this red car convertible, and he drives off, and this person running is after. He's like, that's my car. That's so funny, just in the background. uh Going through here, uh the he's giving quotes from his side jobs, like talking about all the different things that Tyler does. uh so he mentions how he sells soap. He mentions how he's a like a waitress, or not a waitress, excuse me, a waiter, and he's pissing in lemon bisque and talks about the clam chowder. uh he mentions how Tyler in works at a movie theater and he replaces the film, but he also stitches in parts of like pornographic images into the film, and they just show like a movie that he's working at, and it's so funny. He's in the background smoking a cigarette. Brad Pitt's character is, and they then show a part where it's just a dick or like a chick's breasts, and you just see these kids who are like traumatized in the theater, who just saw a male genitalia pop up for a frame on the screen. uh Gotta love that. uh then there's the start of Fight Club after uh which you have Ed Norton's house gets blown, or his condo gets blown up. They then meet at the bar. They then have the first initial fight outside. You have then the rules of Fight Club scene. I'm kind of jumping through some of my favorite parts, kind of giving a movie synopsis. Stop me. Feel free to stop me at any time, by the way, Blake. We then get into a bunch of like we get Marla's reintroduction of this. So this is pretty much from like minute 30 on, where it's just chaos. Once Brad Pitt's character gets introduced, because the beginning of the movie, it's very I was reminded, when you get dropped in, it's just you get dropped in kind of in a flashback in a sense, because it's the end, basically the last scene where Brad Pitt's character has Ed Norton at gunpoint, and then all of a sudden they flash it back to the beginning when uh, Ed Norton's character is trying to get put on sleep medication. He has insomnia. He goes to these therapeutic groups, like for testicular cancer. He then meets Marla. They're called tour. What are they called? Tourists.
Yeah,
Uh,
tourists.
they find all of these different like groups that are like dying people. You get a fantastic, hilarious scene. This is early in the film, so I'm jumping around here, where you have I'm guessing she has cancer, but this woman Carrie, who's like knows she's gonna die soon, and she says how she wants to get laid one last time. She says, I have pornographic movies. I have lubricants. Shout out to Carrie. I hope that she got her wish fulfilled. Blake, I just have one question for you. Uh, when we're splitting up our time here, uh, would you like tuberculosis or do you want blood parasites?
Neither, preferably.
So they go to all these different groups, they split them all up. Tyler starts to be able to sleep again. That is how Marla is introduced, who is played by Helena Bonham Carter. uh this is one of her biggest roles that she was ever in. We then there's a moment when we get like this Marla mini 30-second like sex montage where they're just getting after it, and then you have the first real scene of where you can one of the first scenes where you can kind of really start to tell that something is weird, because Ed Norton's character is just sitting in the kitchen when Marla comes downstairs, and Ed Norton's character is acting like he's hearing all of them like him and Brad Pitt and Marla having sex. You get the infamous line of Marla saying, "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school," which is just fantastic. Whoever came up with that one, just round of
Shout
applause.
out to you, dude. Yeah.
GG's in the chat, folks. Um, you get you get the scene, the one scene from this movie that is you always get movie scenes, Blake, where it feels like you're watching a different movie, and that I would describe as the Lou scene in the bar basement when Lou
Oh
comes
yeah, when Luke
downstairs.
comes down, he goes, "I didn't give you guys permission to come here."
He's got a bodyguard with a gun. It's like we just transported into a Italian mobster film for about 5 minutes. And then you just get some fantastic montages where you get you're going to start a fight with a total stranger and lose montage. Like you see the guy that works at the car wash, or not a car wash, he works at like a dealership, and he's like spraying a pastor with a hose and trying to get him to fight him. There's a guy who works at a Cadillac dealership who like tries to run down a couple. There's a person who like strolls through a building with a bike and tries to get tackled. We then have the scene where Ed loses his job and he forces his boss to beat him up, but he doesn't really beat him up, which then leads into the birth of Project Mayhem, the car crash scene, uh, just so many different things. His name, the infamous when Bob dies, aka Bitch Tits.
Yeah.
You get his name is Robert Paulson, which is just fantastic, fantastic work. And I'm also sad that never became like a chant at a sporting event. Like imagine if someone going to the line, and that is how you try to jeer somebody at the free throw line. Like his name was Mitchell Robinson. His name was Mitchell. Well, Mitchell Robinson, who shoots like 46% from the free throw line, is trying to figure his life out. I just feel like that would work. You then have another. I'm a whore for montages. You have the looking for Tyler Durden montage where he's going. After Bob dies, he finds all the plane tickets that he got from losing his job, or from getting his like severance from his job because he framed his boss for beating him up. And he finds all the flights that got booked. He's going crazy trying to find him. You get the scene in the bar where the guy's in like the big old gimmick neck brace. And he's like, security's tight. It's tight as drums, sir.
Welcome back.
Yeah. And then you have the ending where he finds out he's himself. What are some of your favorite, out of all of these things that I mentioned, what are some of your most rewatchable scenes?
First one, I think just because Brad Pitt is just putting on a fucking clinic at this one with lines after lines after lines. But when he is burning his hand and he won't let go, oh, that scene was so amazing. I could watch that scene 100 times. Obviously, your final two scenes, I could watch 100 times, and my reaction would be the same every single time. Um,
Uh,
one of my favorite ones is at the very beginning when he meets Bob for the first time, and he just he just pushes his face in his tits because he's taking testosterone pills because he was a
yeah,
bodybuilder.
yeah.
Uh,
Testicular cancer. Um, Going back to like when they first met in the plane, he's like, I have a list of quotes here. He's like, you know why they put oxygen masks on planes? Ed says, so you can breathe.
yeah.
And he says, oxygen gets you high. In a catastrophic emergency, you're taking giant panic breaths. Suddenly you become euphoric, docile. You accept your fate. It's all right here. Emergency water landing, 600 miles an hour, blank faces, calm as Hindu cows. That's an interesting theory. Uh uh Another one here is when they're talking and he says just like random random quotes you mentioned where he's like he says this while they're in the kitchen. Sticking feathers up your butt does not make you a chicken. Don't know where he got that one from, but that's
No.
legendary. Uh he his he monologues a bunch that it's just him going through talking about uh he's got one here later in the movies. You're not your job. You're not how much money you can have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not your fucking khakis. You're the all singing, all dancing crap of the world. He says that into the camera when it's shaking, and then you get that again when they when the you realize that they are both the same person. Uh, let's see here. I'm trying to remember what he when he's burning his hand. He mentioned something about like uh something about being made by or made in the image of God.
Yeah. Yep.
Um oh, he says here, he says or he ends up saying it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
Yep.
And then he pours the vinegar on his hand. Which hey, that's how you get chemical burns, folks. So if you're, if you want a patch to make you be a part of a certain group of people who want to do crazy things, that's a way to do it. Uh, Another Tyler Durdenism when he like tries to fake kill the guy in the gas station,
Gas station. Yeah.
and he lets him run off. He's like, tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond K. Hessel's life. His breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever tasted. He keeps his license. Just fantastic stuff. Um, so here he's talking about you mentioned again the chemical scene where he's yelling at him. He says, fuck damnation, man, fuck redemption, we are God's unwanted children, so be it. uh and then he says first you have to give up, first you have to know, not fear, know that someday you're going to die. He also uses that basically in the same thing when they're in the car,
Yep.
and which is a interesting thing considering it's the two guys in the back seat and it's technically Ed Norton's character yelling at himself, and he just lets go of the wheel and they get into the car crash. So just an amazing just lambasting of quotes. Uh, um, a funny one at the end is when he finds the van at the end of the movie and he
Mm.
shoots at Tyler and the bullet goes through the window. And he says, he says, you are now firing a gun at your imaginary friend near 400 gallons of nitroglycerin. Just fantastic stuff. Any other scenes that popped you?
It was just honestly those main four: the chemical burn one, uh, the last two for sure in the movie, the one where he has the gas station worker at gunpoint. I think those were the most four memorable to me.
More from that burning scene because I found the quotes here. Shut up. Our fathers were, this is what he said, our fathers were models for God. If our fathers bailed, what does that tell you about God? Listen to me. You have to consider the possibility that God does not like you, never wanted you, and in all probability, he hates you. It's not the worst thing that could happen. And then he says, we're God's unwanted children, so be it. Uh, I love how he describes how who if you go through the script, Ed Norton's character is basically just called narrator, and he says at the beginning of the movie when Marla kind of infiltrates his groups, he says, Marla, that little scratch on the roof of your mouth that would heal if only you could stop tonguing it, but you can't. Just so many great different things. What are some of the things you have as we moved on here? So in the first, when we do these rewatches of the older movies, I want to have the categories instead of like best and worst. I will we'll have like the most rewatchable scenes, and then we'll go into what age the best and what age the worst. So what are some things that you have for what age the best?
Sorry, I don't have my list pulled up. Give me 2 seconds here.
Oh, he came unprepared.
No.
I know, I'm kidding. He is prepared.
I am very prepared. Thank you very much.
One of the things that I have real quick that we just went through a bunch of them are all the quotes. Like the quotes are fantastic.
Yeah, I think the quotes aged well for sure.
Maybe not aged well and like, oh, this is how you should believe. It's just very quotable and very funny and very noteworthy. I don't believe in damnation of God or whatever. I don't know, depending on how you look at it. Or being God's unwanted children. I'm just saying,
Honestly, I think
he's balling.
I think one of the things I had is I think the movie itself has aged well with being over time and how much more I feel like more popular it's been over time.
That's a good one. That's fair. Any other what age the best for you?
Yes, I seem to have lost my list.
Oh no!
I'm panicking.
Hold on, give me a second here. The last thing I have for what age the best was, as I mentioned, I rewatched. This was a rewatch for me, and unlike Blake, who saw this for the first time, but all the hints on the rewatch that you can tell they're the same person. I think it's just not. It's very noteworthy that that's how you kind of see the film when you watch it the second and third time, or however many times you watch it. What age the worst? The one thing I really have is the timing of the movie. We mentioned how Columbine happened right after this came out, and Woodstock 99, and just a lot of crazy stuff that happened that didn't allow this movie to get off the ground until other things. What are some things that you have for age the worst?
Mine are more like I would say not like movie wise, but like I think like the toxic masculinity in the movie, I think aged poorly, like just how people see it today. I mean, like the mental health misrepresentation of the movie, I think like aged well because mental health is probably way more of a problem than it was back in the day. Like it's way more of a serious problem now. So like people that could see that, they could take it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. Not to get political, but you people can look at something like this and be like, well, this is a group of people who are against a regime, and
Exactly. Yeah.
like look like they did their own version, not exactly, but like storming the Capitol type stuff, like crazy stuff like that. When you I'm not saying the people that did that thought of the movie Fight Club by any means. I'm just saying like any type of mass thing like that that's really detrimental. We've had a lot of those in one way
those
or
are my
another.
real big things. I think just the people nowadays take things so differently. So like if someone new could watch it, they could take it completely the wrong way, and that's why I'm saying it aged well because like maybe back then these things were an issue, but they're much more of an issue now. So I think that's why I put those as
Age the worst.
Yeah.
So moving on, categories wise, we have the Peter Dinklage as an Asgardian weapons maker award for, hey, I know that guy from another show or movie. The Jared Leto popped out, obviously.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was Jared Leto at first. Someone had to tell me, and I had to re-look it up, and I was like, oh my God. That's Jared Leto.
That is the lead singer for 30 Seconds to Mars. Among other things. Should we shout him out for Morbius? Maybe that's a thing we do every pod, as we shout out the movie Morbius. Did you? Here's another one for this category. Blake, do you know who Meatloaf is?
No, I don't. I'm no.
So Meatloaf is who Bob, aka Bitch Tits, is.
Yeah.
And Meatloaf is a singer. His real name is Michael Leaday, better known by his stage name Meatloaf. He is an American singer and actor. He was known for a powerful, wide-ranging voice in theatrical live shows. Um, what he was a part of, like I feel like I think he was more of a, I don't exactly know like what band he might have been a part of. His most well known song is "I Do Anything for Love."
Okay.
That is who Bitch Tits is,
Oh, that's
aka
actually crazy. Yep.
his name is Robert Paulson.
Yeah.
So just a nice little note there. Anybody else for the Peter Dinklage's and Asgardian's Weapon Maker Award?
I forget her actual name, but the chick I knew from Alice in Wonderland. And
Oh, Marla,
yep. I think Alice in
Helena
Wonderland. She was in this
Bottom Carter.
movie with uh she was also in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I'm pretty sure, with Johnny Depp. She's done a lot of stuff with Johnny Depp, but she was also in oh my god, I'm drawing a blank now. Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp. She was in a bunch of them with Johnny Depp. That's how I recognized her right away. It's like, oh crap, that's her.
Yeah, so let me see here. What was she all really known for being in? Fight Club, obviously. She was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She was in Ocean's 8, Dark Shadows, as you mentioned. She was in Harry Potter, the fifth one. Interesting. Sweeney Todd, which is another movie with Johnny Depp. You mentioned Alice in Wonderland, so yeah, that was what she was in. Um, but yeah, the only thing I remember her from was this. Clearly. Uh, did you have anybody else for this?
No, those were the only ones.
Yeah, those are really the main ones.
Obviously, Jared Leto. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, Jared Leto might be the winner of this just from the
Yeah.
fact that out of nowhere it's like, oh, that's the guy who tried to play the Joker in a weird shitty anti-hero movie. The Vincent Hanna Award for character who most likely to have a drug addiction. I put Marla down.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. I mean, it's
take. What a woman.
Best since grade school, man.
Just again, a fantastic line. Put it on a t-shirt. Haven't been fucked like that since grade school. I mean, good Lord. The Coach Finstock Award for Best Life Advice, which I'm not going to always go through what each of these awards mean, but Coach Finstock is from Teen Wolf, and his life advice, his biggest he had 3 core rules, which was never get less than 12 hours of sleep, never play cards with a guy who has a city name, and never go near a lady with a dagger tattoo. So, do you have any Coach Finstock life advice?
Yeah, there was actually a quote that I took, and it goes, "We are consumers, and we are the byproduct of our own lifestyle, and we are the purchaser of the goods." So to me, like that I think that relates to nowadays. Like people base their lifestyle off of what like fits in. I think that is like the message there. Like people are like they feel like they have to fit in, like they have to get the all nice, cool, fancy stuff because everybody else has it. And I think the message is just to live your own life, like live your own life the way you want to. Like you don't have to fit in, you don't have to do all these things. Just be yourself. And I think that when I took to heart, I was like, man, that's actually crazy. So that was just be yourself. I think is the best advice from that quote there. Like don't let others, don't be a follower like everybody in the movie was. Like, don't let someone else control you and who you are. Be your own person.
Yes, and like there's other things here. Let me try to pull up the full because there's a couple that they go off of. It's like Tyler Durden's talking about like we work jobs we hate to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. And yes, it's the life advice in that aspect is again live your own like you said, live your own life. People try to fit in with all the trends, right?
Yep.
Just be you, man. I had literally had this conversation with someone at work today, talking about like the thing that I believe people like being unique, being yourself, having your own spice and variety. I feel like that is like having a sense of authenticism, however you want to actually word it. Don't kill me or quote me or whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that is, it's not lost, but it's something that you have way less and less than you probably did in a different era
Mhm.
of time. So I just think that's something that we all need to have more of is be your own person. It's not it's okay to want to have certain things, but make them you. Don't try to model yourself as somebody you're not. Um, let's see here. The one of the ones I had it's not a quote or anything from the movie, but just at the end with the whole Tyler Durden finding out who he is thing with Ed Norton. I just said to myself like, when you have a plan, see it through. Try to see it through. No
Yeah.
matter how bad it is, just see it
Yeah,
through.
just and it worked, man. I'll tell you, my jaw was on the floor for that too. I was like, I can't
He would have
believe he just did that
wouldn't have
shit.
shot himself in the end or whatever, but I guess he lives. Picking nits. What are some nits you have to pick?
I told you, there's just that one, and I don't see it towards the end of the movie. It's just the beginning of the movie, but it flashes on the screen for like half a fucking second, and it pissed me off so much.
There are multiple cuts in this movie. There's like 20 of them where
And I know, like, if I rewatch it, I know like it's there for a reason. But
yeah,
first time watching, I was just like, oh my god, fucking stop.
it's basically a picture of Brad Pitt like smoking the cigarette
Yeah.
with his jumpsuit on
Yeah,
pretty
like I
much.
like now that I like obviously now that it's over and I know what like I get it, it makes sense.
Mhm.
Like it's showing like it literally spoiled the movie for us, but we
Yeah, it's
didn't know
trying
at
to
first. Exactly.
exactly.
Like that it's so like now it doesn't bother me, but during the movie I was just like, oh my god, please
You're
fucking
like, "What the
stop.
fuck?"
Dude, I'm like, stop it.
Uh I have a couple. Okay, so I feel like Ed Norton's character framing his boss the way he did. I understand that they walked in when the dude was holding him and his hands were bloody. And maybe in the late 90s we didn't care about due process as much. But I just feel like that would have been a lot harder to kind of pull off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I understand in premise he sold it well. However, I feel like I feel like he's not just walking out of there with a bunch of stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like we got to go through a trial here in a way. Uh, get some. Where's who? I mean, listen, it was the late '90s, so
Who knows?
be damned security cameras. The other one I have. Okay, how does Ed Norton explain to the others that like we get to the end obviously and they're talking about they're t- like in the scene with the cop in the interrogation room at the police station
Cops, yeah.
and the cops are all of a sudden in on it and they're trying to cut his balls off and they just keep
You
saying
told me you were gonna say
yes,
that.
yes. They were like, yeah, you told us you were also going to say that. What? I just want to be there. I want to be the fly on the
I want to
wall.
be there during that scene where he's telling
Yes,
them.
I need him to. I need a director's cut version where he's explaining this to all of these people. I just need to know. I just want to see how that goes over. Like him saying, guys, I understand that you follow me through thick and thin. However, I have a split personality. And there's going to be a time when the other guy takes over. He basically, you know what? I just thought, do you think, I just randomly thought of this. Do you think the person who wrote Moon Knight saw Fight Club and was like, shit, I got an idea?
Oh yeah, for sure. No way he did it. No way.
Basically, Moon Knight is a Marvel TV show that was also in the comics, and I'm mad that there was only one season of it because it was really good. Shout out to Jonathan Isaac, killed it playing four
Oscar
different people.
Isaac. This
Or,
ain't
sorry,
fucking basketball.
Jonathan Isaac. I am
Jesus
I am a
Christ.
dumbass. Oscar Isaac killed it in that show. Uh, Jonathan Isaac. Jesus Louises, I am stupid. It's can you tell that it's 12:30? And it's raining outside. Power hasn't gone out yet. Knock knock.
Knock, knock, yeah.
Uh, but do you just think? Do you think they were inspired by Fight Club? Like, hey, if they could pull off a person who
Some
has
sort of inspiration had to be.
yes. Like there we go. We just randomly found that out. So yes, I want to be there for that conversation when when Ed Norton is telling everybody, guys, I'm going to try to tell you not to do these things because the other guy is going to take control for a little bit. Just don't listen to him. Just take me out. Cut my balls off. I just Want to see that. Anything else? Any other picking nits?
No, no.
Okay. Too long, just short. Too long, too short, just right. We talk about movie length, whether if it was too long.
I like I said, I think the beginning of the movie, I was like, wait, this is what everybody was hyping up. Like this is what this every dude just hopping from therapy session to therapy session. Like, is he just gonna have all these therapy sessions just fight each other? Like, what the fuck is going on? But no, like the movie did need that. I think at the beginning to like really realize like what he's going through, like with loneliness and stuff. So like, I honestly, if anything, it could have been longer. Could have got a little bit more. But I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, we got to like the. I wish there was more. Like maybe you cut a little bit of that first 20 minutes. You shortened that part up a bit, and you kind of extend explaining how him and like I would love. There's a few scenes in the movie when Ed Norton's character actually kind of has where he kind of snaps in and out of being narrator and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he talks to his boss,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden Tyler takes over. When he when his boss brings him the Fight Club rules.
The Fight Club was. I think that was Tyler that took over though.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Tyler takes the wheel.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's going at him and he's like, or how about you don't bring every little thing to me, and he takes the paper out of his hand. I wish there were more instances like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where we could see Ed Norton's character being Tyler. I would like a little bit more of that. Just maybe sprinkle that in a little bit more. Home stretch here. Fred VanVleet Award for Best Heat Check. Marla doesn't qualify for this, right? Would you say she's in the movie too much?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, I agree. Who do you got for Best Heat Check?
I put Bob because I think he meant the most to. I forget Edward Norton's actual character's name.
He really doesn't have one.
That's what I'm saying.
I am Jack's. I am Jack's Coley.
I think he meant the most to him, and that's why he was so emotional when he finally realized like shit was going bad when Bob died. Like he realized something was going on. Like he realized like, oh, this is bad. I've got to stop, or we've got to stop because he doesn't know he's doing it, of course. But so that's why I put him, because also at the beginning again, he's like the first character that you have interact with him. He's one of the first guys that gets into the cult. He's the only guy that dies. So I put him just because I think he played an important role, not only to the main character, but for the movie itself, even though it was a smaller portion.
I agree. I had him and Jared Leto, but I think Meatloaf is the winner of this. I think he comes in, and anytime he's in a scene, he's just fantastic in it.
Oh, very much so. I think every time he get said with the meaning to how much he means to him, like every time, like a lot of scenes with him are emotional too. Like, they're like telling him, you're too fucking fat. Obviously they're just doing it to, the thing, but it's like, damn, like they're just a dick to him all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you had the one kid out there, they told him that he was too young. Their initiation was like, you got to stand outside for 3 days without food or water. Only then can you come in and start your training.
Mm-hmm.
Recasting Revolution. It's a new category. It's sometimes maybe we'll be like, hey, would you picture a different actress in this role? I wanted to kind of go over the Marla role here, because listening to podcasts, people talk about that a lot. There were a couple people that were up for that, and they ended up not getting it. Let me try to find it here. So Marla Singer, Helena Bonham Carter obviously got it, and I thought she did a really good job. Courtney Love was someone that was very sought after for this, but Brad Pitt did not like that. Reese Witherspoon was another one.
Gross.
And Julia Dreyfus was considered as well. So just a couple other people here. Let's see here. Try to Janine Garofalo. She was also somebody that was She was the original person that they hadn't pegged for this, but obviously it fell through. So, were there any? Are there any other people like we mentioned too? Brad Pitt, or do you do some research? Russell Crowe was pegged initially for the Pitt role. Obviously, I think Pitt and Russell Crowe, insanely popular actor in the '90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, I actually did some research, like not based off like who I'd want, but like who was the other, like for Brad Pitt's character, it was only him. That's who he wanted, and that's who he got. But it's kind of the same for Edward Norton's character. But I know like Matt Damon was in the running. Sean Penn was in the running. They wanted Edward Norton and they got him. But I could see Matt Damon playing Edward
That
Norton.
era
Like
game, that era of Damon,
Matt,
the
yeah.
young Matt Damon could work. I do think the crazy schizophrenic. I don't know. Norton's perfect for this. I feel.
I think he's worth all because he's also a skinnier build, and I think that helps with that type of character. Matt Damon was more of a, even back then. I mean, he wasn't like built, but he was more stocky than Edward Norton was. And like Edward Norton, like he looks like he's a schizophrenic. Like even in like the fight scenes, like he's skinny. Like he's not like ripped like Brad Pitt. Like he's skinny. You see his ribs,
he's
like frail. Yeah, and I think that's what made it work.
Again, like Brad Pitt said, I look how you want to look. I fuck how you want to fuck. I am you in all the ways that you are not. I am free, etc. Any other recasting revolutions?
No, I do not have any more.
Okay, which is fine. Lastly, movie MVP.
It's got to be Brad Pitt. I think he's so good at playing an asshole. I just think he absolutely kills it. Every scene he's quote after quote, bomb after bomb. I mean, the obviously, Edward Norton, did like what exactly, literally pretty much did what Glenn Powell did in How to Make a Kill. Like Glenn Powell narrates the whole thing and Edward Norton narrates the whole thing, but just the scenes that Brad Pitt's in and all the quotes that he has that are so quotable even nowadays. I just think he's got the movie MVP's got to be him.
I agree. I think it's Pitt. I think he wins the movie. Norton does fantastic here, but this again, as we mentioned, this kind of launches Brad Pitt
through the roof. Yeah,
he takes off from here. I did want to note this too, maybe a future award named after this, but kind of a best song drop in a movie. Maybe it'll be named the. Do you know the song that is the last at the when the buildings all explode? Do you know that song that plays? The name of it.
I know the song, but I don't know the name of it.
It's called "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies, and maybe that'll be the name of a future award.
I like that.
Where Is My Mind award for best song usage. Because I think that going off with the guitar riff right as the buildings all explode, I think that's a beautiful way to end the movie. Takes away from the fact that Ed Norton has a hole in his throat.
Mouth or
not sure how he pulled that one off. But
I don't know. I don't know.
I just love the text you sent me. You're like, he shot himself.
That's a nitpick, dude. The gun was straight.
Straight as an arrow,
as an arrow, and he has a hole in his cheek.
He's just like, yeah, I'm good. Go get some gauze. Can you bring me some gauze?
The strongest esophagus known to mankind. Like what?
Just asking, can you bring me some gauze, please?
No, I'm fine. I'm really fine. No, you just shot yourself in the throat. You're not fine.
Go downstairs. I'll meet you. Bring some gauze.
You sure, sir? Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a flesh wound. Shout out to Monty Python. But no, man. Yeah, that
was an experience.
We did it. We did it. Fight Club is in the books. The first trip in the Wayback Machine. How's it feel? Do you feel euthanized?
It feels good because I finally got it. I got it off my list. It's literally was the oldest. It was the oldest movie on my list, like the one most suggested, but I haven't watched. So it feels good finally getting done. can't believe I waited this long. Like, and now after watching, I'm like, damn, dude. Imagine if I watched that 3 years ago, how life changing it would be.
Where has this been all my life?
I'd be such a different person.
Listen, we all find things at different times in our life, Blake, and you found this movie. And now you know what? You're better for it.
I am. I'm honestly, it's okay that I waited this long. I felt like I needed this in this moment.
The question now becomes, what's next? I think you're gonna have to pick the group of movies for this next one.
Yeah, I'll have to get a list. I'm trying to think of if I wanted to be one I haven't seen as well as you haven't seen, or one that I've seen maybe you haven't seen. I haven't really decided on that yet.
There we go. We'll
get there. We'll get there.
There's certainly options. That is for sure.
I'm gonna go see a movie tomorrow. So,
what are you going to see?
The Bride.
Oh yeah, that popped out this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is one that I am not joining you for, but
that's fine. It's good,
but it's not my.
It's on my list. I've heard it's not that great, but it's on my list, so I'm gonna stick to my list. I'm gonna go see it.
Really?
I could like it. I could like it. You want to know who? Did you know who the director is?
No, I don't.
Rachel from The Dark Knight, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
And that's who the main character is, isn't it?
No. I don't know who plays the bride. I just know it's Christian Bale.
Let's look here. Let's look here. I'm curious now. We're doing research.
Does she also? No, it's Jessie Buckley. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think it was.
Okay. So Rachel from The Dark Knight. That's Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I now know. I didn't realize that's who that was. But hey, shout out to Maggie Gyllenhaal. Should be a good one for you.
I'm excited.
I bet Christian Bale kills it.
Every fucking movie, like I know I said no Marvel, but just like in fucking Love and Thunder. Imagine Love and Thunder with 15 more minutes of gore killing gods.
You should have just made the entire movie about that.
Should have.
I think we all would have been better off.
Yep.
Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? But all right, we got through it. 80-ish minutes talking about Fight Club. The first rule about Fight Club is do an 80-minute podcast about it. Blake, good job by you, buddy.
It's late. I'm tired. I'm sorry if I don't sound enthusiastic. I swear I am. I've just had a long day.
I know, you and me both. But we did it. We killed it.
We did it. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad we talked about it because boy, oh boy, that was an experience for sure.
It's something that we will remember forever. The next film, what we do will be, we'll have that soon, and our next episode will be out in the next couple of weeks. So we thank you for watching episode 2 of the Real Ignorance Podcast. For Blake Ringer, I'm Joe Winkel. We'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Like and subscribe, folks. We're out. Peace.